All right. Thank you so much, everyone. As you saw on the introduction video, I introduced you to this remarkable man that is sitting on your screen right now, Mr. Hart. Mr. Hart, how are you, sir?
Mr. Kobe, thank you for inviting me to the show, and let's get the people talking.
Indeed, my good sir, indeed. I've had the opportunity to attend trials with you and to see you in your field. And I can just say to the people that you are good at your work and people will learn quite a lot from you. What do you have to say about the legal system being accessible to the public? And there's been a lot of confusions from people about the terms that we use, how we conduct trials, the delays that go around with it. And what do you have to say to the people about that?
I would obviously say to the people, I'm one of the people that actually advocate for actually simplifying things for the people so that they can actually understand it. Because not everybody is in a position to say that they would understand what we call this legal jargon or legalese. So we've got enough case law so that we can actually explain things to people in simple English. And that's one of the things that I strongly take to heart, that we get and break it down and say, speak in layman's terms to people. That's why I always try to educate wherever I can. And also, as a senior in our industry, I also feel like it's important that I educate the younger colleagues and help them, but also be accessible to the public. And in being accessible to the public, it means that sometimes you need to not think about money, but think about how can I actually improve the life of an ordinary South African. And what a lot of people don't understand is law is not a financial science. As I said, it's a social science. We took up this job to help people, not to exploit them. And unfortunately, that's what some of my colleagues do. But they will speak for themselves at a given day. But that's me, legally from the heart.
Legally from the heart. Thank you so much, Mr. Hart, for that. I ask this question because you have quite a lot of experience in the legal field, and I know that you also litigated in the areas in the era when we did not have like this technology and so much access to the courtrooms. And what do you have to say? We have had a lot of people speak about the decorum of the court as such a big term. And they are saying that lawyers are not adhering to the decorum of the courts.
As I pick it up now, when we were raised, and I'm using the word raised loosely so that everybody understand it. It's like when we were admitted now as attorneys, starting off our profession as article clerks, we were called back then, and getting a very, very low salary, but we enjoyed our job. And that's what it is. At least we could buy a bread of a bread and a carton of milk, but we enjoyed it. And we were properly trained that although you or not I don't want to say disrespect. Although you disagree with what a judge or a magistrate tells you, you are not going to be rude and abrupt in court. You will make known that I disagree, but still upholding this respect of this forum. And if you're not happy, you will obviously go and appeal a judgment or take it on review and do those things. Now, appeal and review is literally, I know if people talk about appeal, let's use the thing that's simple to South African soccer. If a referee makes a decision, you are not happy, you appeal the decision. That's the same. The referee in this case is just the judge or the magistrate. Or if the board of a certain football association says, okay, Mr. Kobe, your team was late with their registration, we're penalizing you 100 rand. You go to the board and say, I'm taking you on review, I'm taking you to the higher board. That's appeal and review. And that's how people should understand if they use this jargon in court. And that's what we need to know. And I always like to encourage my colleagues when they do things that they explain it to people in that way. And people will also get legally educated so that our people don't make silly and rookie mistakes when they deal with contracts, when they engage, when they sign. Maybe they are in a motor vehicle accident, the car gets knocked, they know I need to write the registration number down, I need to take a copy of that person's ID document so that I know who I'm dealing with. Those type of small things that we take for granted, that our people actually understand it, but we as lawyers, we always try and complicate things so that we look intelligent to people sometimes.
Oh, Yeah, no, that was a brilliant answer, Mr. Hart. And part of it, you touched on the review, and you mentioned one aspect that is a pain on everyone, soccer, and how the decisions need to be reviewed. I don't want to go there because a lot of people will now review everything now. But back to the legal field, Mr. Hart, if you can tell us why the need to start a podcast on the legal aspects.
Because I see that although we've got so many places where people can actually seek legal advice, it becomes less and less accessible for people. It's always about money, being in close proximity of a place, and understanding where to look for the relevant help.
Mm,
Because sometimes
mm,
people know what they want to do, but they don't know where to go and get that help. And I thought starting the podcast sessions and actually just educate, and also for people to actually post questions that we need to engage on and actually break it down for them in simple layman's terms, that we actually use this as a way of educating the people so that they at least know, if I'm faced with a certain situation, I will go to the CCMA first. I need to do 1, 2, 3 there. Or I will go to the Equality Court because you said a certain derogatory thing to me that is not nice. And
mm.
not just think, okay, lawyer, money, oh, problem, I'm going to leave, I'm
Yeah,
throwing in the towel.
yeah.
So the podcast is to actually just show to the people out there that, listen here, there is channels that you can follow, and that is what you're going to do.
Hmm. Interesting, Mr. Hart. Interesting. Now, I just want to give our viewers a background about who you are and when you started to practice, so that they can get your experience throughout, and they can be, because there's this term in the legal fraternity that we use, which is the credibility, you know. So everyone will be questioning the credibility, but I know after your answer they will be able to be at ease with that. Most of the people who will be watching, they will know that you have been a lawyer who has produced many lawyers, in a sense that you have been should I say, a lecturer,
Mhm.
because you've been lecturing a lot of law students, and I know a lot of people, a lot of them will be watching, and they will recognize you, and they will give that thumbs up to say, "Hey, we know this guy." So, if you can just break down your career for us in summary.
Okay, obviously, starting off in the legal industry, my legal career was launched in 2005. So that was down in Cape Town. I always tease my other colleagues from Gauteng to say that the best lawyers are made down in Cape Town, and then they are exported to the rest of the country so that we educate. So I
Hey.
don't want to say it again, but I just did. And yeah, that is what it is. I started off my career there. I've done now since 2005 up until now, while I'm also involved at the University of Johannesburg educating the fourth year LLB students. I'm also a instructor for LEAD, which is the organization that's responsible for training candidate attorneys in the country. So although I might be in the university setup, I'm also involved in active running of a practice. So I'm not that lawyers that got their
Mm.
degree and then disappeared. As I'm speaking today, I'm still running cases for my firm, running cases for the law clinic. So I know what's happening in practice. So I started back then. And as I say to the guys, normally, I'm not special. I'm just an ordinary lawyer. But
Mm.
take me to court and you'll see I can sell sand to an Arab.
That's a good one there. Ah, nice, nice, Mr. Hart. I just want to hijack you a bit, because we're doing this podcast on a day that we just were hit by a bombshell, so to say. And this is one of the trials that we are talking about, that the legal justice system has been made to be visible to the public, and one. Always in their mind when you're speaking about such cases. You are speaking about the Senzo Meiwa case, which is the current case that is on the mind of every South African right now. And we just heard that Advocate therefore has instituted what can I say, has laid charges against Kelly Kumalo's lawyer and the EFF leader Julius Malema. And one will say, is it that Advocate therefore is being is the part of this delay in the trial, because every time when the trial needs to progress, there's always this a bit of delay that side things come in. So I just want to get your view on that.
Obviously, what has transpired in the sense of Mayuwa trial, I would say that there was like a little bit of conduct that I, as a legal practitioner, say that Advocate Tifu could have done it better. I'm not going to dictate to the man how to run his trials. He's a legal practitioner himself. He can do it, but there is certain
True.
things that he should. And this comes back to our earlier point that we say, if you are disgruntled by a decision of a judge or a magistrate, you don't necessarily go and fight in open court. You address it with him in chambers. If you still don't get, then you use what I talked about, appeal or review, depending on what type of decision was taken. So then you take it there. And I mean, you use the F word, like for instance in open court, which is seen by lawyers. It's seen in a very bad light, because it's now everybody will say lawyers is like that, which maybe there's 5% of the lawyers that behaves like that. So him also now lashing out at the legal representative of Kelly Kumalo, and also the EFF leader, that to me I think should be taken with a pinch of salt. Obviously, I think maybe he's going to say maybe they defamed him, but he also went on to media and saying certain things about them. So then it's now you say, I say type of situation. If he's laying charges, for what is it? Because you need, for a charge to be laid, is like he needs to now say that there is a criminal element to whatever he's alleging they have done wrong to him. But if I say to you that what Advocate Tifa did in court is not in line with the decorum of court. And here we go again with the big words. I want to stay away from them, but with the style of how things is done in court, then that's my view. That's what I see on TV. So how can I be seen as defaming you or injuring you, unless I now start saying, okay, I'm laying a charge against you, you stole 1, 2, 3, and I'm bringing false witnesses, then that's a different story altogether. But if I say you've displayed certain behavior and I say it's not in line with the certain manner of how we do certain things, then I don't know, but we'll see how it plays out. But I foresee that whatever stunt or shenanigans that has been pulled now, it will not frustrate or delay the court case. The court will proceed. Obviously, the people that's going to suffer now, it's accused 1 and 4, because they now have to sort of carry on with their lawyer here. But Advocate Tifu should just now also think that the legal representative of Kelly Kumalo is his colleague. And we are always trained to be collegial. Even if I disagree with my colleague, there's ways and means of how I go about. It's not like we're going to do a cope thing now. I am not happy with Likota. We start hitting first here in a meeting. No, that doesn't happen. We shouldn't do that.
True that. True that. I guess it boils down to this principle, Ubuntu, and how our practice in South Africa is embodied in that principle. A lot of people, when I was still studying, they will tell me about, the law in South Africa is boring because you guys are not like, your worship, I don't agree with that, or just like stand up in court and just say what you want to say. We know that in South Africa it's all about the respect for your opponent and the respect for the bench and the public at large as well. So I guess we will just have to wait and see how it pans out. Lastly, Mr. Hart, as we wrap up today's episode, we know that law students are going into their final examination, and there's a lot of panic around this season of their life. So I just want you, from a teacher to a learner, or a teacher to a student, just give them that sense of hope, and just a touch bit of what they need to expect and what they need to prepare on not necessarily the content, but their mental health and their emotional side, because I believe that you have been a learner, you have been a student, and you have had a lot of accolades that you have accumulated over the period of time. So you know the stress that they are going through. So if you can just give them that sense of hope.
Guys, I would start off by saying I would always like to make reference to myself, because then maybe you guys would relate for the guys who has already had some sort of interaction with me. I say to them, this is not nothing special. So many LLB students has gone through this period, and this is normally the time where people want to give up because you feel like just quitting because it's getting too difficult. But let me must spin you a story about my life. It's not really spinning, it's the truth. In my final year, I had 14 exams in 14
Uh,
days' time.
yo,
So each day I had an exam, and here I'm sitting with a degree. I got through my exams, and what is this? What is the moral of that story? Is I'm saying to you, I'm not special.
yeah.
I was just also an ordinary student, just like you. So if I could do it, so could you.
Hmm.
So don't underestimate the value in you. Don't underestimate yourself, because sometimes you know the answer, but you underestimate yourself in the power of what you know, that you would think it's difficult. I cannot do it. I want to quit. And I say, stop thinking as a quitter. Just, yes, it's going to be a tough time. Yes, you're going to be tired. But yes, there's plenty of Mr. Harts that went through the system. So if he could do it, I can do it. As he say, I'm not special. So anybody can do it. So just hang in there. This is the last mile. And then you'll get now the fruits of your labor. And
Uh-huh.
you'll enjoy your articles. Articles is another beast for another day to discuss, where you'll also feel like, hey, why didn't I just become a dentist? It's easy. The tooth doesn't speak back. You just pull it out and put it there, and you get paid. Now I have to draft pleadings. I have to run around courts and all these things. But it comes with its
Story
good
of
and
my life.
good days and bad days. So that's now what it is.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hart. Just for the people that will be watching the podcast, we invite you guys to send through your questions and to interact with us. We'll be keeping tabs on the comment sections, and we will definitely have an episode dedicated to just answering your questions. If your question is not related to the topic we'll be covering on that week. And we're looking forward to growing this platform. Please share it, subscribe, and like it. And as you heard from Mr. Hart, we speak legal from the heart. Thank you.